Dreams are messages from spirit, but they're often symbolic and really difficult to understand. So if you would like to learn how to interpret your dreams, stay tuned to today's video where I'll teach you how. Hello, my name is Melissa Kitto. I am your guide to connecting with your angels, developing your intuition, and living your unique life purpose with abundance. If those topics resonate with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video if it resonates with you. So today I'm talking about dreams. Dreams are messages from spirit. Now, what is actually happening when you're asleep? Sleep is the body kind of resting and recuperating, but it's also your soul resting and regrouping. So to take a step back for a moment and see that bigger picture, you are a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And you are here to learn and grow. Learning and growing here on the planet Earth can be very tiring. It can be taxing on you physically and spiritually. And so that sleep time is your time to come back, to restore, to regroup. And from a spiritual perspective, to take a look at all the experiences that you've had while you've been awake and all the things that are going on in your life that you need to reflect and understand and learn from. If there is something really challenging you while you're awake, it will probably come up in your dreams. And sometimes your dreams are just that chance to regroup and think about all the things that have been happening in your life, right? So that's a regrouping dream, when all these different things are just kind of popping up to the surface that have occurred for you fairly recently. What I'm actually going to talk about today is a symbolic dream. Right? A symbolic dream is a direct message from your angels giving you guidance on something. It's a dream that will, in my experience, really get my attention. I wake up maybe with a start and say, wow, why was I dreaming about that person or that thing? Or what does it all mean? It seems weird, it seems strange, it seems unusual. Those are the clues that you've had a symbolic dream, and those dreams are really exciting because, again, they are your spirit guides sending you a message about something. So I want to share with you today how to interpret those symbolic dreams, those messages from your guides. So first you need to understand that your guides don't communicate to you in the same way as you would be communicating with a person with a physical body. They speak the language of energy, the language of spiritual communication, and that is symbolic. So if you are expecting it to be direct and obvious, you're probably going to be disappointed. It just isn't going to be that way. The people that have a challenge connecting with spirit or doubting themselves a lot are more in their head, and they're thinking that they should just be able to understand and get words and messages very, very clearly and directly. You're going to need to expand your psychic communication so that you can receive these symbolic messages from your guides and actually learn to understand them. Okay, so step one in interpreting your dream is first to write it down. If you were lucky enough to remember a dream, which to be honest with you, I don't remember a lot of my dreams, but when I do remember it, it really gets my attention. So I immediately pull out my journal and I write it down. In that process of writing down what you remember about the dream, you'll probably find that you recall more and more details about the dream, which is amazing. Write it all down, okay? That's really important because you might forget things if you don't write it down right away. It's amazing how it will just slip your mind, because remember, this is coming from soul communication. And as soon as your brain kicks in more, that memory will just kind of fade. So write it down so that you can consciously remember the dream. Okay, so step two is to pull out the key symbols from the dream. So you don't need to understand what they mean yet. But what I want you to do is kind of write down maybe 3 or 4, 5 at the most, symbols that really stand out to you. So recently I had a dream that really seemed weird to me. I dreamed that I was at my wedding with my ex-husband, which was actually 20 years ago. In the dream, I was getting married to him. It didn't look anything like our real wedding. That was weird to me that I would be dreaming that, right? Because we're not together anymore. Another thing I dreamed about in that dream was a friend of mine named Denise Duffield Thomas, who you may have heard of her, some of you. She's an amazing entrepreneur. She lives in Australia and she has books and a course about money mindset. I'm actually mentioned in one of her books. It's called Get Rich Lucky Bitch, if you want to look it up. So those are the kind of things that you want to pull out from the dream. This thing, right? Wedding. This thing, Denise. Now, another thing from that dream was, oh, I was in New Zealand, and again, I grew up there, but I haven't lived there for 20 years. Again, so the dream was in New Zealand. That's interesting. What are the things that really jump out at you? Okay. Now, step 3 is to go through those symbols, those parts of the aspects of the dream that really jump out at you as being significant or different or even unusual, and say, okay, just in isolation, not within the whole story or context of the dream, but in isolation, what does that person, thing, occurrence mean to me? Right? So with this dream that I had, I might say, okay, wedding. What does a wedding represent to me? Well, maybe a wedding is a commitment. It's a partnership. It's choosing a course of life together. Okay, great. Now, I dreamed about Denise. What does Denise represent to me? Remember, in isolation, not within the context of the dream. Wow, well, she's really symbolic of a very successful online entrepreneur. Great, okay. And so you go through each of those symbols in the dream and just write down what it represents to you. Then, the next step is then to pull it all together. Okay, with the interpretations of each of the symbols, what is the connection here? What is the story all about? Okay, and so I will share with you in a nutshell that how I interpreted that dream was that, my ex-husband and I used to be in business together, and it was great at the time. It was a different kind of an approach to business. And Denise is doing business in a more online, big picture. She's written books that have, impacted people all around the world. And compared to the way that my ex and I used to do business was doing local workshops. Again, nothing wrong with it. There's no right or wrong. But my guides were kind of showing me, so what happened in the dream was that I left the wedding, my own wedding, I left the wedding and I went off and did something fun with Denise. So what it kind of represented to me was it's time to leave that old approach to business behind and follow a new path, right? That came to me because I interpreted each individual symbol. So I hope that helps you to interpret your dreams or the next dream that you have. Try it out. I'd love to hear in the comments below how it works for you. If you'd like to go deeper, I do have a video that I'd love you to watch next, and it's called What Happens When I See Loved Ones in My Dreams. I've linked it right beside me here. I think you'll really enjoy watching that one next. I'll see you on over there.